I have this story here from SCNR. Donald Trump Jr. tells off hostile MSNBC reporter at RNC. Just get out of here. I expect nothing less from you clowns, even today. I love the Trump family, man. These guys are great. I've hung out with Don Jr. on a couple occasions. He's joined us on the show. And the first thing I want to say in this segment is understand Eric and Don Jr. and Kimberly and Laura and Melania, they had just witnessed their friend, family member, father, uncle, brother, you get my point. Like someone very important in their lives and to this country nearly die, stand up in defiance, raise his fist with blood. I can only imagine what it must be like for these guys to live through a decade of onslaught, insulting, attacking, and lying about your family and dragging you in the courts and trying to put you in jail. And then someone tries to kill your dad or your father-in-law or your husband or your grandfather. It's horrifying. But I tell you what, it's not just Donald Trump who a day later, or I should say the next day, playing a round of golf with a smile on his face. Now that's badass. But then shows up for work on Monday. It's like, dude, take a couple of days. We're okay. Like you nearly died. We're okay if you take a day off. Nah, Trump wouldn't be anywhere else. And neither would his kids. So Don and Eric, Kimberly, everybody, they're there working at the RNC exactly as they need to be, despite what's going on. These people are standing up and doing what needs to be done. And so when, I think, was this Jacob Soboroff? Is that what that was? Asked Don Jr. a question and lies. Don just says, enough, and roasts this guy. But I want to add to this segment because I see with the hard work of this family, I love that smug look. I love these guys. I'm so sick of the media lies. The Trumps are good people. It's insane how they've mistreated this family. And, they were beloved. They were celebrities at all the parties. But the moment Donald says, I want to be president, I want to end these wars, keep my promise to the American people, they just lie, cheat, and steal across the board. And this is what they did. And Don just said, no, enough. But I'll tell you where I'm going with this segment. When I see this hard work from this family, I feel inspired. And tremendous respect for these guys. I'm such a big fan of Don Jr., man. I can't even begin. And I tell you, when I think about what happened on that day, on Saturday, I feel I say divine intervention. I'm not a Christian. I believe in God. I don't need to spend 2 hours explaining my faith and my worldview, my on these things. The real answer is, I certainly think the biblical teachings, 10 Commandments, and all that are important and have led us to a great and prosperous society. I recognize, and I've had great conversations on philosophy and faith with some of my best friends who are deep, deep Christians. As Michael Knowles referred to Seamus Coughlin, a Shiite Wahhabi Catholic. Seamus laughed and said, thank you. Me personally, I'm not a Christian, but I respect and admire the teachings that are in the Bible. Not all of them, but a lot of them are very important that have led us to this society today. And I do believe in God. And when I watched what happened on that day on Saturday, it feels like divine intervention. I'll explain and elaborate a little bit more in a second, but it felt like there is an order to this world, whether you believe in God or not. I know many of you don't. But if you don't believe in God, then I put it this way to you. Do not imagine that there is a man sitting in the clouds, and when that bullet came, he waved his fingers and bent the direction of the bullet. Don't believe any of that. Or he blew in the wind, moving the bullet a few degrees. Imagine that there is an order and a structure to this universe in however it exists and whyever it exists. Physics, it's a real thing, and math is our mapping of this. There is some structure, and as it played out that day, it was as such Donald Trump must live, and he did. Whatever that means to you. To me, I feel like Trump has a purpose. And when I see the Trump family there, a day later doing the jobs that they're supposed to do, not taking that day off, not missing a beat, I say these men, these women are meant to be here. And I hope for the best. I hope they live up to that. I hope the next Trump term will be everything we hope that it is. I hope. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
What is that change going to look like, Don? What practically, your father as president, I think you would even say, was a divisive figure. What's it going to look like in the second term?
I don't think he was a divisive figure at all. I think the media created divisiveness around him. They lied about Russia collusion. They said he was a traitor. They went after him in every which ways possible. If the media actually starts being an honest broker, talking about the things that he did, the prosperity he brought, the peace deals that he signed around the world, rather than the disaster that we're living right now, I think you'd do everyone in the country a big favor.
I know immigration's important to him. I covered the family separation crisis closely. Will we continue to see policies like separating 5,000 children deliberately from their parents?
You mean the Obama administration?
You know they didn't do that, sir.
Okay, sure.
Will there be a second family separation policy?
It's MSDNC, so I expect nothing less from you clowns. Even today, even 48 hours later, you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait with your lies and with your nonsense. So just get out of here.
This was so amazing to watch. It's cathartic. RNC research with the fire emoji, Trump Jr. You couldn't wait 48 hours with your lies, so you get out of here. It felt so good for these smear merchants to be told off, to see Don Jr. just say no. You know, because one of the criticisms many of us have had is that Trump keeps doing these interviews with the corporate press, despite the fact they're lying about him. But here, I'll tell you how my response to, I believe is that Jacob Soboroff? Yeah, it is Jacob Soboroff. I'll tell you my response. Will there be a second family separation policy? I like his. You mean under the Obama administration? What were we talking about? No, you know Obama didn't do that. Oh, wait. What are you? Are you talking about the screening process to make sure that the children aren't being sexually trafficked? Obama didn't do that. Oh, and then I'd nudge my brother and I'd be like, Did you hear that we just said? He said Obama was letting child sex traffickers kidnap kids. Oh, you can't say that about Obama, man. I mean, we may have our disagreements. The lie that they're making and the game that they're playing. Was there a family separation policy? No. There was if a man shows up with a child and we don't know if that child is his, there's got to be some way to vet this. Because right now, I tell you what's happening under the Biden administration. Here's another response to you, Jacob. You mean how right now CBP has reported that there are little girls being trafficked into sex slavery because they're not screening who these men are? Is that what you're saying? You tell me how we handle this. Criminal sex traffickers bringing children across the border, and then you think we should let them do it. I tell you what. If it's the choice between making sure that sweet child who is brought here against their will is not being a victim of a sex slavery ring, means that they have to spend time away from their mom or dad, so be it. Maybe their mom and dad shouldn't try to illegally enter the country at a time when sex traffickers are trafficking children, and we know it. Now, I don't like that children are taken from their parents. I don't. But you know what? The world isn't candy canes and rainbows. There's a harsh reality, and strong leaders have to make hard decisions. And the hard decision is this. It may be hard on a child when they are taken from their mother or father temporarily so we can figure out if these people are who they say they are. And I hate that it must be this way, but I will not tolerate gangs and cartels sex trafficking children into the United States. And I tell you this, you choose. How about this? You stand before me. You come into my office, and when I slide those two envelopes towards you, you decide. Would you condemn this child to sex slavery? Or would you say, perhaps we should take 72 hours to try and figure out if these are actually the parents of this child they have illegally brought into this country? These people are scumbags and they are liars. But I see this response from Don Jr. I see these men doing the hard work that needs to be done, and I feel nothing but hope and respect and catharsis when they tell this man to get out of our faces. I am sick of the lies and the manipulations. I can tell all of you something very simply. The world is a difficult place to live in, and we have fought hard for thousands upon thousands of years to make it better for every generation coming before us. The idea that we live in a world of Skittles, candy canes, and rainbows comes only because great men have built walls around us. I mean that figuratively and literally. In the olden days, they quite literally built walls, and that kept the wolves out. And the bears. Eventually, we just, basically adopted the wolves, and now they're man's best friend, and we love them because they're cuddly and we rub their bellies. That's a whole other point. Man has tamed nature. And for that, you grow up with puppies that lick your face, and you can lay on the ground as golden retrievers run around wagging their tails. But thousands of years ago, there were no dogs, tens of thousands of years ago. It was man who worked at domesticating alongside we partnered up, actually. It was symbiotic. But my point is, we have built this safe and secure society, and people live in it now, forgetting the dangers that exist beyond it. And the truth is this: there's no easy answer. First, the family separation policy can be easily solved to everyone's, to no one. But we can say this: how about we build a wall and we say, you can't come in. If you want to come in, it's through a port of entry. The problem is, as these people pour in the country illegally and we apprehend them for the crime they committed, they're with children. And the challenge brought before Donald Trump is, we know the cartels are trafficking children. Dr. Phil reported this. They have numbers on their arms. You call them and they know. CBP knows they're sex slavery rings. So Trump says, I don't care. The parents are criminals. They're breaking the law. They're risking their child's life. It's negligence. It's abusive. That these poor children are crossing rivers. They're dying on the journey. They're dying in the desert because the parents are abusive. They could certainly live in their countries. Most of these people are not asylum seekers. They're lying. And Trump says this: okay, the compromise is we take the child from the adult so we can verify that that parent is who they say they are. That has always been the plan. The media lies to smear Donald Trump to make him look bad. They say he's separating children from their parents, but they don't give you the full context. And the full context is they're sex slavers. Now I leave it to you to decide. I'm not going to tell you what moral path to take. You decide. Because I know which path you will take. I know which path Jacob Soboroff would take if he was being honest. There's no way that man would ever allow a stranger to take a child to a sex slavery ring. But you know what? Hey, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Some people are like that. So I absolutely love the response from Don Jr. on this one. And to be fair, Eric is looking up at something else and smiling. He's not smugly, but I still love the face. And I want to stress this point again. Everything that happened on that day, on Saturday, it really feels like there are evil men trying to stop Donald Trump. I don't know what else to say. They falsely accused him of being a traitor. It was a lie. They claimed he was trying to dig up dirt on his political opponent, Joe Biden. That was a lie. Joe Biden engaged in a quid pro quo with the president of Ukraine. Trump said, what was that all about? Can you tell me what was happening? They said, oh no, impeach him. They lied. When the whistleblower, air quotes, came out accusing Trump falsely of a crime for which he was acquitted, anyone who mentioned his name would be pulled from YouTube and Facebook. That's a conspiracy. It's no question. We've never got a resolution to how that happened. YouTube took my videos down. Facebook took my posts down for simply saying a name, even in a totally separate context. Conspiracy. So you mean to tell me that with everything we've seen, everything, it is just a coincidence that the building where the police were actually staging allowed a guy with a ladder to climb on top, grab a gun for 26 minutes without anyone stopping him? I think there are bad people who want a bad thing to happen. Viva Fry said it was a Lee hop. Let it happen on purpose. Maybe. It certainly seems like that's the bare minimum. But then when the bullet was fired, it went right past Trump's head. He looked to the right. He tilted his head a little bit at the right moment. Unfortunately, other people were injured and hurt. But when I see Trump's survival on that day with everything they thrown at him and failing every way, with the documents case being dismissed, I'm just like, this is Teflon Don. They cannot get him. And I have to imagine that at this point, with everything they've thrown his way, prison didn't work. It's been delayed. The documents case is gone. He's going to win across the board. The bullet went right past his head. Something. This guy's got some kind of force field or aura or plot armor, you name it. But I think perhaps the answer is simple. He is meant to be where he is meant to be. And so we'll see. For those that are watching live, I'll grab a couple more super chats before I sign off, but smash that like button. 1 like equals 1 fight. Subscribe to this channel. Become a member at timcast.com to support our work directly. The next show is going to be up at youtube.com/timcastirl with the crew and awesome guests. I'm hoping we have I believe we have Lauren Boebert scheduled to join us tonight. Hoping that is the case. With the RNC, I probably shouldn't announce guests or anything, but everyone's running around and hectic, and so we've got a big lineup. We have 6 chairs. We're gonna have awesome shows for you, and of course, You can get a couple tickets are left. Timcast.com for our RNC show. We're in the conference room now where you can sit and actually hang out with us. Mike Lindell will be joining us on Thursday, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Luke Rudkowski is here as well starting tonight. It's going to be a blast. Smash that like button, and we'll see you all tonight.